What's up, chat? It's that time, man. The Philadelphia Eagles schedule is out. We've been waiting all day for it. Y'all already know we got the schedule right here. The schedule just dropped. We already knew that the Philadelphia Eagles was going to be taking on the Dallas Cowboys, right? Hey, chat, that ain't about nothing. We already know that's the first opening home game of the season, right? It's the first NFL game of the season. The Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the whole offensive line, right? They're gonna be ready to go out there and do their thing, right? Jalen Carter, Jalen Hunt, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, right? Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, N'Kobe Dean when he gets back and healthy, right? Jahad Campbell when he gets back healthy and ready to play, right? Quintana Bay, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean out there, right? Keely Ringo, Reed Blankenship, right? This football team is back intact and whole. We got a lot of new pieces and we're ready to go. So Dallas week 1, all right, that's going to be an 8:20 game. We already know Thursday night. See you there at the link, right? Then a rematch, a Super Bowl championship rematch. We don't gotta wait, right? This game was already leaked and we don't gotta wait. The Philadelphia Eagles will go to Kansas City and play the Kansas City Chiefs at 4:25, all right, on the national televised game, probably on Fox, all right. It is on Fox. The game will be televised on Fox. Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts. I wanted to say Donovan McNabb. Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. All right. How many more years will we meet these two teams? Will these two teams be the marquee teams? Right. We're not going to have to wait until midway into the season. We're not going to have to wait until sometime in November or sometime in December. Right. No, we're going to get it cracking second week of the season. Right. First week is like, start week. All right. Hopefully that you had a good off season. Your players are ready to go. But that first week, we all know it's like a bye week for the players in the NFL. Not a bye week. It's like a preseason game, right? So that second week, all right, hey, if you won week 1 or not, it's time to get it cracking. So the Philadelphia Eagles will go to the Kansas City Chiefs to play Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Then the Philadelphia Eagles will come back to Lincoln Financial Field for their first 1 o'clock game of the season against the Los Angeles Rams, man. Now, everybody said how much the Los Angeles Rams gave the Philadelphia Eagles a hard time last year, right? Everybody said that the Rams were the Eagles' biggest test, that the Rams would have, should have, could have beat the Eagles had it not been for Jalen Carter coming up with two huge plays, one a sack and the other one almost a sack that wound up just turning into a quarterback hurry. He may have even got the QB hit on that one right there. All right. But those two plays at the end of the game, amongst all the plays in the game, helped us to win that game. Okay. Then again, the Philadelphia Eagles, we stay having to go down to Tampa Bay to play the stinking Buccaneers, man. One of my homeboys asked me today, why do we keep having to play the Buccaneers? And I told him, well, it's because they keep winning their division. He said, yeah, but why we got to keep going to Tampa Bay? And I don't know why we got to keep going down Tampa Bay. I know the Philadelphia Eagles do have a large contingent down there from Philly. All right, we do travel very well down there to Clearwater, down there to Tampa Bay, right? And you know, it's just nice in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady's down there, right? It's just easy. So I think that that's probably part of why that is the way it is, man. Just is what it is. All right. For a second straight week, back to back, 1 o'clock games, right? This time, the Philadelphia Eagles will come back to Philadelphia to play the Denver Broncos. I'd much rather play the Denver Broncos here in Philadelphia than to go to Denver and be playing out there in Mile High, right? It is a thing, right? It is definitely a thing for players to adjust to the elevation to get their breathing right while they're out there, okay? And so, yeah, let's just bring them over here. Let's have that team take that cross country flight over here, and let's go after their young quarterback and their team right there. Then the Philadelphia Eagles on a short week will have a Thursday night game against the New York Football Giants, man. Against the New York Football Giants on a Thursday night. We know how those games are. I'm glad that it's an interdivisional game. This game is good for both teams, right? Because if the Philadelphia Eagles are home, well, actually, no, this game is in MetLife, right? So the Philadelphia Eagles only have to travel, but right up the road, right? So this is kind of like another home game, but it's not really a home game. We just don't have to travel. We're quick, short, Amtrak train trip up the road, and we'll be ready for a game, and then we'll be able to get ourselves back for that mini bye week. So I'm glad the way the NFL scheduled that there. The next following week, week 7, the Philadelphia Eagles will take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. Now we talked about the Minnesota Vikings earlier in one of my other videos, right? We're going to see with that young quarterback AJ McCarthy, I think that's his name, coming out of Michigan. All right, he got hurt last year, but he looked good in the preseason. And if there's any indication of how well he's going to play, the Vikings are going to be in pretty good shape, right? Can he play better than what Sam Darnold played like last year? I'm not quite sure. While a lot of us don't love Sam Darnold played very, very well at the quarterback position last year. He just didn't do anything in the playoffs, right? He wouldn't be the only one that's like that. So lay off of Sam Darnold out there, okay? All right. Now, after that, the Philadelphia Eagles, we play the New York Football Giants one more time, this time at home on Sunday, October 26th, week 8 of the NFL football season. We have the Giants for another 1 o'clock game. Philadelphia Eagles have more 1 o'clock games than I thought that they would have, to be honest with you. All right, but we play the Giants again at a 1 o'clock game. All right, get them out of the way week 8, first part of the season. Don't have to worry about the pesky Giants trying to come toward the end of the year. They got nothing to play for. They out there crashing out, trying to hurt our players and everything like that. We ain't got to worry about nothing like that, man. All right. Now, Eagles do got a bye week. This time, we're grateful and glad that we have a bye week in week 9 instead of week 4. Last year, the bye week came early. But the bye week came just at the right time because we were 2-2, trying to figure out what our identity was. Well, we're going to be a team that was going to pass the ball. Well, we're going to be a team that was going to run the ball. Hi to all of y'all out there, Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? All right. Lydia, how you doing? Mr. Appleskin, what's going on tonight, sir? Just going over the schedule here, right? Now, after that bye week, the Philadelphia Eagles will travel to Lambeau Field. I've always wanted to go to a football game in Lambeau Field. Never have had the opportunity. I think this year might be the year, man. Try to see if I can get up with some of my friends. That would be an awesome game to travel to on November 10th, right? Not Lincoln, Lambeau Field, Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a great game, right? That's week 10. Week 11, the Philadelphia Eagles play the Detroit Lions, right? A big pivotal game, big game. I'm sure at this point in time, these two teams will be jockeying for position. I'm sure the Detroit Lions will be competing for that number 1 spot in their division, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles will be. So this will be one of the clash between what most people see as two NFC contenders going into this football season. So week 11, the Philadelphia Eagles will host the Detroit Lions on the Sunday night football game, 8:20 p.m. Week 12, the Dallas Cowboys. The Philadelphia Eagles will travel to Dallas week 12, November 23rd, a 425 game, man. So the Philadelphia Eagles will start the season with the Dallas Cowboys. Then it'll be interesting to see how these two teams fare from the first time that they meet each other to when they meet up on their second matchup, right? Who knows what's going to be going on? It's a war of attrition. We never know who's going to be up, who's going to be down, but we do know that it's going to be a heated game. It's going to be a rivalry, and hopefully the Cowboys are still playing for something because the game's always better when it's like that. All right. One of the games that were already leaked, the Chicago Bears, the Philadelphia Eagles on week 13, right? November 28th at 3 o'clock, will play the Chicago Bears at Lincoln Financial Field, right? This will be a game that's on Amazon Prime. This is a Black Friday game. This is not a night game like I thought that it was going to be. All right. This particular game is going to be a 3 o'clock game. And hey, listen, that'll be perfect. Get up in the morning, do some shopping, be tired, come home, eat some food, and get ready to watch the Philadelphia Eagles play a great football game against the Chicago Bears, man. All right. Week 14, the Philadelphia Eagles have another Monday night football game. Okay. This time they will be in SoFi, back in LA. All right. Hosting the LA Chargers. If I don't go to the Green Bay game, that LA game might not be a bad one to go to, right? Might not be a bad one to go to. I always try to go to a game with my boys every single year. We try to get to an away game. You already know I'm going to come to the link and be at a game. But when it comes to going to an away game this year, I'm either going to go to Kansas City, I'm either going to go to Green Bay, or can never can never go wrong with going to LA. Can never do that. All right. Week 15, the Philadelphia Eagles, all right, will host the Oakland Raiders in another 1 o'clock game. Not too much to say about that game. I'm not too sure how the Raiders are going to fare. Yes, they do have Geno Smith as their quarterback. They did have some pieces out there. I'm not quite sure what their wide receiver core is going to look like. I know Myers out there was playing pretty well for them, but that was when he had Devontae Adams on the other side. Not having Devontae Adams and you being the number one guy, the main focus, that just makes things a little bit different. The running game's not quite the same now that they don't have their star running back there anymore. He's out there in Green Bay. So we'll just see. I think the Raiders are a struggling team. They're a team that's rebuilding, and this would be an easy matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And then the much anticipated game, okay? So much anticipated that these two teams don't even have a scheduled time to play. Okay, because for week 16, the Philadelphia Eagles play the Washington Commanders. They play the Washington Commanders in week 16, a Fox a televised game, but the time is to be determined. All right. This is around the time where a lot of games start to get flexed out. Right. And if things go the way that the NFL thinks that it's going to go, if Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders have just as much of a successful season as they had last season, and you know that the Philadelphia Eagles going to look to go back and repeat and defend that championship from last year. So you already know that these games are going to mean almost everything, right? Depending on how the season go, these two games can tell or could decide who's going to actually win the NFC East, right? So week 16, the Eagles will travel to the Washington Commanders, which is going to be a Saturday game, right? Week 17, the Philadelphia Eagles travel to Buffalo. I'm not going to Buffalo December 28th. It's not going to happen, right? All right, but the Eagles will go to Buffalo to play Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills at 425. Right. And then in week 18, the Eagles will finish up that game. Hopefully, we've done our part. We've taken care of the division, and we've done enough damage in the conference that we don't have to play the Commanders to win the division in that last game. But it could come down to that. All right. Week 18, if it does come down to that, the Philadelphia Eagles will host the Washington Commanders on week 18 at the link, right? Okay, so listen, man, the schedule, that's the full schedule within itself. And we're going to quickly go through the schedule now that we went through it, and we're going to count up the wins and losses, right? Anastasia, what's up, baby? How you doing? All right, let's go through these wins and losses and figure out exactly how the Eagles are going to fare this coming season. All right, try not to be biased as best as I can. All right, week 1 against the Cowboys. First game of the season, raising the banner. Eagles get the rings. Trophy is back out. That's a dub. That's a dub. Straight up, that's a dub for the Philadelphia Eagles. 1-0. The Philadelphia Eagles will travel in week 2 to the Kansas City Chiefs. A rematch game, a revenge game, a home game, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The Philadelphia Eagles, after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes, listen, I want to see what I see from Rashee Rice, right? And I want to see what I see from Xavier Worthy. And I want to see what Travis Kelce has left before I decide what's going to happen in that particular game. But as of right now, I don't think that this team can keep up with the Philadelphia Eagles, and that the Philadelphia Eagles can still rush forward and drop 7 like they did against Patrick Mahomes. Then I just see the same type of issues for the Kansas City Chiefs. 2-0 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles will play the Rams. That's going to be a tough game. I think the Rams are going to come back into Philly trying to get revenge for what happened in that playoff game. But the problem is this: did the Rams fix their run defense? And if they didn't fix their run defense, because we know the Philadelphia Eagles ran all over them. Not only did Saquon Barkley have a good game, Jalen Hurts had a good game. Our entire running backs room had a good game against the Rams, right? So when you think about it, when the Rams play the Philadelphia Eagles, if they don't have a stout enough defensive line and they don't have stout enough linebackers to come up and fill the gaps against the run, and they have to commit extra help to stopping the run because they don't want to get embarrassed like they did last year, well, then I think this Philadelphia Eagles team is going to expose them through the air. I really think Jalen Hurts is ready to take a big leap this year. not just something just to say, right? I think that Kevin Patullo, while yes, he is a different offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo was able to be here throughout this time, throughout the tenure. He's been coached and groomed by Nick Sirianni, right? And this offense, no matter who's the offensive coordinator has been, has looked eerily the same, which means that this is Jalen Hurts' offense. He's going to run what he likes to run. And the only thing is that this particular coordinator just needs to get in a rhythm with Jalen Hurts so that he can know what plays to call and get a good feel for the game, knowing what his quarterback responds to. So 3-0 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, playing the Rams. Coming back in for next year. Now the Rams will have Devontae Adams. That will be something that's going to be an added addition to their team that we didn't see last year. But I just think that the Eagles defense, along with the secondary, yes, we have questions at the one cornerback spot. We're not quite sure who is going to be the guy to fill Darius Slay's position, but we have enough capable guys. And my money and my bet is on Keely Ringo. That's somebody who I want to win that job. He's a tall, rangy cornerback and can definitely help us against some of the taller wide receivers that the league is now premiering. All right. The Buccaneers back down there in Raymond James Stadium. We just owe the Buccaneers. Yeah, we just owe them, right? So I'm going to take the Eagles to win that game. The Buccaneers is not in the same caliber as the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, it's going to be in September. Yes, it's still going to be hot down there. But I mean, we've had enough times going down there. This Philadelphia Eagles team is really good, right? The defense is really good. The offense is really good. The coaching staff just understands this team, and we're just a different football team going down there. The Bucks should not be able to compete with the Eagles 4-0, right? Philadelphia Eagles play the Denver Broncos. Right now, the Denver Broncos is a team that could give the Philadelphia Eagles some issues just because of the way that they play, the West Coast offense that they have there with Sean Payton out there calling plays, and the defense is stout, right? And so it just we really want to see what we see from this Philadelphia Eagles football team. I do think adding AJ Dillon to the backfield with Saquon Barkley, right, is just going to give this Eagles team a consistent running attack, right? That last season, we had to use Saquon Barkley more often than we probably would want to have to use him, right? When you got a guy like Court or AJ Dillon that can come in there and that can hit the hole, that can carry defenders, that can turn out those 2, 3, 4 extra yards that we need, that's going to be something that we didn't have. And I'm really excited to see more opportunities for Will Shipley. I thought he was a good change of pace. I thought he's a good back with good vision, right? And yeah, he got caught in that one run, but he started looking back and see who was coming after him, man, when he should have just kept going straight. So I see the Philadelphia Eagles winning that game against the Denver Broncos at home to move and to improve into 5-0 on the season. Then a quick short game against the New York Football Giants at MetLife. Right, the Giants just don't have what it takes to compete against the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles will be looking to take a mini bye week, right? And we know about Nick Sirianni, right? Nick Sirianni is a great coach. He has his football team prepared all the time, right? So we know good and well that Nick Sirianni and this Philadelphia Eagles football team will be prepared to turn around off of a short week. Now, the Denver Broncos is a tough team. The Denver Broncos, right? I mean, in all actuality, that could be a tough matchup going from playing the Broncos, going right into playing the New York Giants. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles will handle that and get that done and improve to 6-0. All right. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles play the Vikings on the road in Minnesota. It seems like one of those kind of games, man. I hate to try to find a place where the Philadelphia Eagles might lose a game because that's really what it comes down to. When your team is as good as the Philadelphia Eagles, when you're looking at a schedule, you're really trying to look at it to figure out where can they lose, right? You're not necessarily looking at it to see where they can win, right? Because we know they can win, right? The question is where can they lose, right? So the Philadelphia Eagles play the Vikings on the road in the dome, tough team, right? Could that Vikings to improve to 7-0, right? And I think the Philadelphia Eagles come back the next following week against the New York Football Giants and go ahead and take care of business at home, and they sweep them. Right now, this is yes, the Philadelphia Eagles have a harder schedule this year, but make no mistake about it. right? This Philadelphia Eagles team has been a team that's gone 8-1, 9-1, 10-1 to start the season, season after season after season, especially once they hit their stride. So it's not per, far fetched, I should say, for this to happen, right? Eagles have a bye week, then they play the Packers at Lambeau Field, right? That can be a tough game for the Philadelphia Eagles, knowing that you turn right around and have to come back home and play the Detroit Lions. You're probably looking past the Packers and looking toward the Detroit Lions. If there was any game that I thought that the Eagles could potentially lose, it could be a game on Monday night in Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers when you know you have the Detroit Lions coming into the link the next following week. I don't believe in trap games, but I do believe that teams look ahead, right? I do believe that sometimes psychologically you just think or you just know that you're better than another team, right? So I see. So let's say that that's 9-1 for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? 9-1, off to a great start. Now, if the Philadelphia Eagles lose that game to the Green Bay Packers, I absolutely see them on the Sunday night game in Philly against the Detroit Lions coming out and dominating that particular football team, right? I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles are a great team. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles have a tough schedule, right? But the Philadelphia Eagles are equipped to handle these type of teams, are equipped to play in the prime time games and the lights and the bright lights. And so the Eagles get back off the snide. They don't lose two games in a row and they go to 10-1 as they beat the Detroit Lions. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we beat the Cowboys in the first home opening game of the season. We always wind up splitting with the Cowboys. If Dak Prescott is still healthy and the Dallas Cowboys are looking like a high potent offense with the addition of George Pickens, this could be potentially a game that the Philadelphia Eagles could lose to the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, right? That would bring the Philadelphia Eagles a record to 10-2. 10-2, that's not a bad record for the Philadelphia Eagles going into week 13 and a primetime matchup on Black Friday against the Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago, Caleb Williams is up and coming, but they're no match for the Philadelphia Eagles on primetime at Lincoln Financial Field. The Philadelphia Eagles improved to 11-2 versus the Chicago Bears. Then the Philadelphia Eagles travel out to the LA Chargers to play out to LA to play the Chargers. That's a tough game, right? Another Monday night game. That's a game where the Philadelphia Eagles will be on the road. They got to travel across the country, right? After playing a tough game against the Bears, right? If there's a game, could the Eagles lose this game? Yeah, let's say the Eagles let's say the Eagles drop this game and they're at 10-3. Okay, the Philadelphia Eagles are at 11-3. All right, say the Philadelphia Eagles, oh no, 10-3. 10-3 because they had a bye week, right? 10-3. They go against the Raiders the next following week. That's 11-3. Then they play the Commanders. They play the Washington Commanders. The game is in Washington. It's going to be a big game. Going to be a highly, highly sought after game. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be riding high, coming in at 11-3 or 10-3 after coming off of a loss against the Chargers and bouncing back against the Raiders. I think the Philadelphia Eagles get two in a row, right? I think they get two in a row, and they beat the Washington Commanders in that Week 16 matchup down there in Washington. And you just think about it. If the Philadelphia Eagles are at a point in time where they need to win that game so that they don't have to play the last game of the season against the Commanders, it will behoove the Philadelphia Eagles to win that game. That first game will be the most important game, right? Because if the division is going to come down between these two teams, like we think that it will be, that first game against the Commanders on Week 16, the winner of that game will have the edge in who wins the division, right? Then the Philadelphia Eagles will have to travel to the Buffalo Bills. This could be a trap game because the very next week they have to play the Washington Commanders, right? So will the Philadelphia Eagles rest their starters if it's a situation where they don't need that game? There could be one of those type of things right there, right? So then I see the Philadelphia Eagles resting their starters for that game. I think the Bills will probably need that game. We'll say that the Bills go ahead and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and then I think that the Philadelphia Eagles will have to play again against the Commanders. So I'm looking at this season And right now I'm seeing the Philadelphia Eagles 13-4, or I'm seeing the Philadelphia Eagles 12-5. All right, that's my honest opinion on what I see from the schedule right here. Okay, because just because of how they put these games and trying to figure out where the losses could come from, right? 5 losses is a lot, right? This Philadelphia Eagles football team, only in that one season did they lose more than 5, right? Since Nick Sirianni lost 8 in his first season, and then they lost 7 and 6 or 7 and 2 seasons ago, after in between the 2 Super Bowl appearances. So yeah, I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles will pull it out 13-4 this year. Just depends on what's going on toward the end of the season. So there it is. The Philadelphia Eagles schedule for the 2025 season has been announced. I got the Eagles going 13-4. Y'all drop it down in the comments, man. Let me know what y'all predictions are on the season. Where do you think the Eagles will go? Will the Eagles go win more than 12? Will they win more than 13? All right. Does anyone have the Eagles winning 14 games? Or does anyone have the Eagles winning less than 12? Let me know, man. This is your boy TK the official. We gone.